Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, May 22nd, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. We have a lot to cover today, as always. Where are we going to go first here on the news? Let me check the feeds here quickly. Make sure that Rumble's up. I don't know what's up. We're having issues with, it says it's sending data. Shout out to Rumble. We're having issues with the Bitchute yesterday. Seems always one platform somewhere is always having issues. Update on Barry, still no update. I have emailed him several times and no reply back. Maybe he is, I don't know. I just don't know. So Rumble's up, Odysee's up. Thank you, Ruckus, for letting me know that. All right. A lot of news to get to today. Big Maha report out. I saw rumblings on the interwebs that the head of Maha, Del Bigtree, may be resigning because they don't want him to talk about the miracles, and they still recommend miracles in this Maha report that just came out. We'll go over it in detail. At a big press conference at the White House, Bobby Kennedy Jr., Trump, we'll go over that. We have video from that. There was terrorism shootings around America. The big story, of course, the Aardvark embassy, intelligence agency operatives operating in D.C. 2 of them were killed. Very sad, a tragic event. It looks like this left-winger, he's been denounced by the Socialist Party. And so who knows? Who knows? You know what I mean? But we'll go over a bunch of false flags that Aardvarks have done in the past to give you historical context here. Of course, it's a tragic event. And they're always going to play the victim. So anytime anything like this happens, of course, it's justification for their genocide. It's quite horrific. And so go do the violence. What are they saying? You say free Palestine, it's now an act of terrorism, basically. Come on, man. Stop falling for this stuff. So that's big. Today, a woman was shot at CIA headquarters, crashing into the front gate. And so it just makes me think that these are mind control patsies, honestly. That's my honest opinion. But there are useful idiot people out there too, heavily indoctrinated into their political ideology, that may just go do violent radical acts. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's exactly what the state wants. The state has the monopoly on violence. And you go act alone or with a group, and you're definitely not going to get your message across, and they're going to demonize you and spin it, and it's a total failure. So don't do it. Don't do violence out there. Work around their system, man. There's plenty. We still got enough freedom that we can do plenty of workarounds. We'll get to some of that. Boycotts of these corporations. We got a follow-up from that. Apparently Trump didn't tell us the whole truth yesterday with the white crosses. And so we got a story that I saw from Ruckus's partner posted. Henningsen posted there. And it was a repost of Freddie Pontoon. So like a little 11-minute clip about what really is up with the quote white genocide there in South Africa and those white crosses. And so we're following up on that today for you. What else do we got? We got geopolitical news. As always, Russia's announcing they're going to create a buffer zone along parts of the Ukrainian border. I think that is progress, honestly. So it seems slow process here of winding down the war between Russia and Ukraine, possibly, hopefully. But don't you worry, they're cranking it up there in Gaza, and Bibi loves nothing more, whether it was organic, staged, whatever you want to, however you put it down, he wins. And we'll go over that. He's saying free Palestine is akin to saying Hail Hitler. They're literally left-wingers that call everybody Nazis and Hitler. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but hell, let's run with it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure we'll probably get some more draconian legislation cracking down on our free speech over this whole ordeal. We do have the shooter's alleged manifesto we'll go over. I just have a hard time buying any of this at this point. Could have been 100% real. I'm saying I don't think it is. My opinion. What else do we got? A lot about that. More about the technocracy, AI takeover. It's getting crazy. Oh, we got this crazy congressman, Randy Fine. He's a big aardvark, and he's saying go ahead and just nuke Gaza. That don't make no sense because aardvarks control, I think the UN said 81% of it today. So it's literally nuke yourselves and everybody. Like, that doesn't even make sense. But we literally have psychopath maniacs in Congress, a bunch of them. They're not qualified to run a freaking, lemonade stand, never mind passing laws that affect all of us. These people are out of their freaking mind, making, at the very least, irresponsible rhetorical comments on the Fox News and other medias. It's ridiculous. So we got that clip. More about Skynet, basically the technocracy, scientific dictatorship takeover. Google has just launched their AI video, and it's pretty damn good. Let me tell you, it's scary. We showed that clip yesterday. We'll go over the actual Google site, DeepMind. We'll go over that and show you some of that. And then to wrap up the show, an old documentary. I think maybe I played this once before a long time ago, but we'll play it again because it's an all-time classic. And I did see Lyme disease in the health news again today, and so that triggered me to go look up this classic report back when we actually had some real journalism in America about it's called Lab. It's an interview with the author of Lab 257 about Plum Island and how the U.S. government engineered Lyme disease as a biological weapon. And so that's about a 30-minute clip, and that'll wrap up the show. For those who haven't seen it, it's very, very telling indeed. I don't think they go far enough, and they're not extreme enough for me, but they expose plenty in it in this interview when we had some real, quote, journalism in America before all these hacks sold out and sold their soul to the devil. All right, on this day in history. Oh, yeah, and tomorrow we got a couple guests on. We're going to have Ruckus. He'll be back, hopefully. And we got another guy from New California. I know him personally here, so that should be interesting. And we'll go over current events and toss around a few ideas. All right, this day in history. On this day of May 22nd, going back to the year 1370, aardvarks are expelled from Belgium, as we continue to notice this trend throughout history of aardvarks being expelled from everywhere. I'm sure it's just everyone's bigots, and there's no problem with aardvarks whatsoever. In 1807, Aaron Burr was tried for treason. Remember, he shot Alexander Hamilton, but he was later acquitted. And again, this triggers me to call to bring back political duels, and we can cut out a lot of BS. If you're really about it and you want to talk all this BS, then be ready for a political duel, to be challenged in a political duel. Let's bring it back and let's get real and cut the BS, man. Because the right winger, they love to say F around and find out. Well, let's do it. And then maybe they'll tone it down a little bit. Something needs to rein in these maniacs. In 1856, another call for a political duel, violence in the U.S. Senate. South Carolina Senator Brooks uses a cane to beat Massachusetts Senator Sumner. And so they took it right to the right to the Senate floor there. And so bring it all back, man. Prove you're really all about it and not just a fake political hack like they all are, right? That'll renew, instead of having illegal alien Hunger Games game show, let's have a congressional House and Senate reality political duel show. How about that? And show you're really all about it. Politicians out there, government lovers. In 1906, the Wright brothers were given it was called a flying machine patent, not the airplane yet, a flying machine patent, on the way to where we see now, Boeing falling apart. No, honestly, a big day for earthquakes on this day. In 1927, we saw an 8.3 magnitude earthquake hit China, and it killed an estimated 40,900 people. Quite tragic, horrific event there. In 1942, Mexico declared war on Nazi Germany and Japan. In 1947, the first U.S. ballistic missile was fired. And then another big earthquake, the biggest ever recorded. In 1960, a 9.4 to 9.6 magnitude earthquake hits Chile, kills an estimated 1,000 to 7,000, generating a tsunami that damaged virtually the entire coastline of Chile. And in 1964, Lyndon Baines Johnson presented the Great Society on this day. And we do have some civil rights news, but on this day history, but we're going to get to that in the context of the show. I'll tie it all in here. And then just last year, on this day in 2024, Ireland, Norway, Spain announced they will formally recognize Palestinian state on May 28th, joining 9 other European countries. They're all bigots, right? Okay, here's our segue. Of course, the infamous Legal Man and his new film coming out. Here's a short clip from it. Barnum's statements only work if you can't recognize them. Natty Jones, that's his character. And he's doing a very good job in public service out there for America, trying to wake them up to the truth, the reality of the system that we live under. And so here's our segue, and then we'll get to all of this news for you. Legal Man right here.
Look, Barnum's statements only work if you can't recognize them. That's important. See, if the people, if they could just see them for the linguistic trickery that they are, they wouldn't work on them. They could see through them. They could see the people using them as the cheap hucksters that they are.
Her approach to the world is an open hand, not a closed fist. She recognizes we're all in this together, and we're all better off, and we're all better off. Her approach to the world is an open hand, not a closed fist. She recognizes we're all in this together, and we're all better off, and we're all better off.
In the final analysis, we are one people, one family, one house, the American house, the American family.
Hilarious. Hilarious. What are they doing? Let me help promote it a little bit. He's him and the crew from Jones Foundation. They're putting out, what are they doing? They're doing Barnum World is premiering in Phoenix, Arizona, May 31st. If you're in Phoenix, go check it out. I would, but I'm not there, so I'll have to wait for it to come around. Here is the Great Legal Man, Barnum World film premiere. I'm sure it's going to be a great one. Can't wait to see it. All right, on to Maha Report. This clip's from Trump. Trump cannot believe stats on kids with autism. Says it was 1 in 10,000. Now it's 1 in 31. Quite horrific indeed.
In some cases, it won't be nice or it won't be pretty, but we have to do it. When you hear 10,000, it was 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 31 for autism. I think that's just a terrible thing. It has to be something on the outside. Has to be artificially induced. Has to be. But in some cases,
they just all keep playing dumb. We know damn well what it is. I don't know how long they could keep up the charade. Here's a longer clip from Trump about the Maha report. It reveals childhood health crises. It's quite horrific. People need to wake the hell up. You can work around a lot of this stuff. It takes work and knowing, but stop subjecting your children to there's like, you can filter your water, right? You choose what you eat. You can choose not to take a miracle. And so maybe the air is about the only thing. I guess if you live in you could live in a bubble if you're that really concerned about the air pollution. In some places you probably need to be. But I mean, there are actions we can take here. And we don't need to wait around for the government to tell us. We already know damn well.
4 months ago, I created the Presidential Commission to Make America Healthy Again, and today the commission officially delivers its first report on childhood health. Here are just some of the alarming findings, and they really are alarming. It's unbelievable, terrible. More than 40% of American children now have at least one chronic health condition. Since the 1970s, rates of childhood cancer have soared in many cases by nearly 50%, 50%. Well, in the 1960s, less than 5% of the children were obese. Now over 20% are obese. A few decades ago, 1 in 1, think of this one. This is, to me, the one that gets me every time, and it seems to be getting worse. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. Today, it's 1 in 31. Last time I heard the number is 1 in 34, right? Now it's 1 in 31. There's something wrong, and we will not stop until we defeat the chronic disease epidemic in America. We're going to get it done. For the first time ever, this report examines some of the root causes that many believe are making our children sicker and our population sicker, I guess. It just doesn't stop with the children. It's our population also, such as the ultra-processed foods, over-medicalization and over-prescription and widespread exposure to potentially toxic chemicals. Unlike other administrations, we will not be silenced or intimidated by the corporate lobbyists or special interests. And I want this group to do what they have to do. We have to spell it out. In some cases, it won't be nice or it won't be pretty, but we have to do it. When you hear 10,000, it was 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 31 for autism. I think that's just a terrible thing. It has to be something on the outside, has to be artificially induced, has to be. And will not allow our public health system to be captured by the very industries it's supposed to oversee. So we're demanding the answers. The public is demanding the answers.
It's beyond industry capture, like old Bobby Kennedy likes to say. We're far beyond that. And someone people need to go to prison for this for life. It's not an accident, all right? They know what the hell they're doing. Here's Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Mr. President, I do want to say something because I get a lot of credit for steering this administration toward the MAHA movement. But I joined the campaign in August. I joined President Trump in August and became, went from independent to his campaign. But it was in June that he made a speech specifically on this issue. It was a MAHA speech before MAHA existed. And that I took note of that speech at the time and thought there's a potential here for a common ground. I want to thank you for your vision, for your courage, for standing up. President Trump is a populist president. He's a president, he's blamed for giving money to billionaires and all this stuff. We hear about that all the time. But he is on the side of the middle class, the working class, the poor in this country, people. And I've been following, I've met every president since my uncle was president, and I've never seen a president, Democrat or Republican, that is willing to stand up to industry when it's the right thing to do, and they're willing to talk about really difficult issues and to hold his stand on those issues. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm very, very grateful to you. I've sat with industry again and again in a room with him and heard him say, we can't do that. We're going to do something different, deliver news that they didn't want to hear. So I'm grateful to this. This is a milestone. There's never in American history has the federal government taken a position on public health like this. And because of President Trump's leadership, it's not just one cabinet secretary, it's the entire government that is behind this report. And I can say again, I talked a little bit about when I met Rachel Carson as a boy. My uncle tried to do this, but he was killed and it never got done. And ever since then, we've been waiting for a president who would stand up and speak on behalf of the health of the American people and say, there is no difference between good economic policy, good environmental policy, and good public health policy, and good industrial policy. We can have all of them, but we need a united cabinet, and we need to go forward as a single people. I want to thank you for that, President Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
At its core, this report is a call to action for common sense. We've relied too much on conflicted research, ignored common sense, or what some would call mother's intuition. It's common sense that ultra-processed, nutrient-poor food contributes to chronic disease. It's common sense that excessive screen time and isolation lead to anxiety and depression, especially in children. It's common sense that exercise and healthy food should come before prescriptions and surgery. It's common sense that not all calories are equal in nutritional value. It's common sense that over-medicating kids is dangerous. It's common sense that we can celebrate the innovations of modern life while also demanding fearless inquiry into ameliorating the negative effects of medication, agriculture, and environmental practices. It's common sense that research funded by corporations deserves more scrutiny than independent studies. I'm so proud of this cabinet, and particularly Secretary Rollins and Administrator Zeldin, who, again, I'll say it a third time, work late nights, early into the morning to make this happen, and to all the leadership from the White House staff, beginning with Stephen Miller, and Heidi Overton, Dr. Heidi Overton, with Vince Haley. Their leadership and their steady hand in getting us to the goal line we could not have done it without them. They helped us grapple with weighty issues and committed this administration to solving large, complex challenges like children's health. We're joined here by senators, advocates, governors who I have worked with, and CEOs who I know who are all ready to begin carrying out this mission. This is the beginning of a conversation, a national conversation that we are going to have with maturity, with nuance, for the first time in history, thanks to your leadership, President Trump. There is a reason that the Maha Moms sided with you, President Trump. It's because this administration has the bravery to tell the truth and solve problems through innovation and not nanny state regulation. President Trump, I'm honored to present you the Maha report and work with this incredible cabinet that you have brought together to make our children.
Well, we have a lively, skeptical chat today. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Here is the Maha report. When it first came out, it's not even from the government. It was through the New York Times. I don't know what that's all about. The Maha report, making our children healthy again. And I know Sarah Connor and John Connor are pissed, but I had to run it through the AI, and this is what we got out of it. Let me give you the highlights. The report begins by outlining the alarming prevalence of chronic conditions among American children, with over 40% of the 73 million U.S. children aged 0 to 17 affected by at least one chronic condition. 40% affected by at least one chronic condition, such as asthma, obesity, or diabetes. The statistics drawn from the National Survey on Children's Health underscores a significant public health challenge. Additionally, military ineligibility is a stark indicator, with over 75% of youth aged 17 to 24 deemed unfit for service due to obesity, poor fitness, or mental health issues, as noted in a report by military.com from 2022. Well, that may not be a bad thing. The highlights are obesity. More than 1 in 5 children over 6 years old are obese. That's 1 in 5. That's the parents, man. You are in charge of what you shove in your kid's face, man. And so that's on the parents. Sorry, it is. Take some personal responsibility. A 270% increase since the 1970s. It's hard work. I know reading your food labels is a conspiracy theory. I know. But you can do it. Get the organic produce. You can find it for a reasonable price. It takes work, effort. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be this hard. But read your labels. Get the organic produce. That's probably even contaminated. Continuing with severe obesity up 500%. The U.S. obesity rate is double that of other G7 countries, according to National Center for Health Statistics. Next, diabetes. It's horrific. One of the side effects of the miracles is diabetes. Says right on the drug insert. Who cares? Ignore that. I think it's on the MMR. I forget even which one, but I know it's there. I've seen it before. I've read it. Anyway, over 350,000 children are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, up 65%, and type 2 diabetes projected to increase 600% by 2060. Well, who cares? Just take the Ozempic, right, with all those side effects. Neurodevelopment disorders, brain damage from a miracle, causing encephalitis and brain swelling. I added that. Autism affects 1 in 31 children by the age of 8, 3.4 times more common in boys. And ADHD diagnosis exceeds 10%. That's all fake. ADHD is literally made up to push speed, to push amphetamines on children. with 1 million more cases in 2022 compared to 2016, according to the CDC. Childhood cancer incidence of childhood cancer has risen 40% since 1975. SV40, just saying. Other miracle potions there. And that's according to the National Cancer Institute. Run from the cure, right? They put in billions to cure it. We still don't have a cure. Coincidentally enough, isn't it? Mental health crisis. Teenage depression doubled from 2009 to 2019, with over 1 in 4 girls experiencing a massive depressive episode in 2022. Everybody was locked down. They basically destroyed their schooling, their academics and the like there, and their any type of socialization was destroyed there by the lockdowns. Suicide rates increased 62% from 2007 to 2021, making it the second leading cause of death for teens aged 15 to 19. I'd say social media is a large player in that as well, with anxiety up 61%. Excuse me. I guess I should have had my miracle. I wouldn't never sneeze again, right? From 2016 to 2023, or anxiety up 61% from 2016 to 2023. And of course, that's over diagnosis as well. So they can prescribe you these, antipsychotics, SSRs, SSRIs, and the like. Part of the over medication there for over diagnoses. And that's according to the CDC. Allergies and immune disorders. This is where mRNA miracles come in, and the other miracles. Over 1 in 4 children have allergies, with eczema, skin allergies up from 7.4% in between 1997 and 1999 to 12.7%. 2016 to 2018, food allergies up 88% since 1997, and celiac disease up 5-fold since the 1980s. Well, what's the difference? I don't know. Drink a bottle of Roundup. Maybe that'll help, right? They spray the hell out of everything with glyphosate. Drivers of the crisis, the report says. Poor diet. Nearly 70% of children's calories come from ultra-processed food. That's on the parents. Linked to obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancers. The trend extends to pregnant and postpartum mothers, with 50% of their diets comprising of ultra-processed foods. Well, that's your medical system. And that's per a JAMA nutrient study. They literally know nothing or tell you nothing about nutrition in your medical system here now. The report critiques federal programs like SNAP, where $21 billion of its $113 billion annual budget for this current fiscal year of 2025 is spent on ultra-processed foods and sugar-sweetened beverages. They're using that as a scapegoat. It's part of it, but still, compared to $11 billion on fruits and vegetables. Doesn't matter how healthy are GMO fruits and vegetables soaked in glyphosate. Might as well just go ahead and pound a Pepsi. Environmental chemical exposure. Over 40,000 chemicals are registered with pesticides, microplastics, and dioxins found in children and pregnant women linked to chronic disease. The EPA tracks indicators via Americans, Children, and Environmental ACE, showing over 90% lead exposure reduction since the 1970s, but rising concern about cumulative chemical exposure. Like, what's that one? Atrazine. There's a bunch of them. The forever chemicals, the PFSAs, showing over 90. We already covered that. Lack of physical activity and chronic stress. Yes, indeed. The screen time, right? Teens average 9 hours of non-school screen time daily, and 70% of children and 85% of teens fail to meet the 60-minute daily physical activity guideline. Sleep deprivation affects 80% of high schoolers, up to 69% in 2009, and loneliness impacts 79% of 16 to 24-year-olds. Well, hell, lock it all down then, you know what I mean? With 15% of young men reporting no close friendships. Over medication or over medicalization. The report highlights unnecessary procedures like tonsillectomies and I can't even pronounce it, and tying your tubes, and overprescription of drugs such as antidepressants, antibiotics. I would add antipsychotics, SSRIs, amphetamines, often due to misdiagnosis or lack of pediatric specific trials. For instance, antidepressants have a black box warning for increased risk of suicide in children, and antibiotics contribute to antimicrobial resistance, as detailed by multiple studies per the FDA. So, and what about the miracles, you say? Well, they briefly mention them. They say a controversial aspect is the expansion of the childhood miracle schedule, which has grown from 3 injections in 1986 by the age of 29 to, by 1986 to 29, by age 1 in 2025, exceeding many European schedules. Denmark has almost half as many. The report notes no trials compare the U.S. schedule to international ones, and there is limited inquiry into potential links between miracles and chronic disease, raising concerns about safety surveillance and conflicts of interest. That's per the CDC YouTube. Over medicalization is another chronic issue, with unnecessary procedures like tonsillectomies. I can't even pronounce these. A bunch of surgeries that they say are unneeded, alongside overprescription of drugs that increase suicide risk per black box warning labels. I gotta say, you know, the system's corrupt. A lot of this is on the parents, though. Honestly, it really is. You got to be aware the system's corrupt. You can't trust them. You got to take care of yourself and your own children, man. And stop depending on this corrupt system. Seriously. There's more details here. The link will be on Weaponized News Substack for those interested. Oh, my hair got all out of whack. Somebody should have told me. You know how I love my Newsom hair here. I got too excited about this report. Okay. Over there in Russia, you say, what's happening in Russia? Really, no one said that but me. But anyway, Russia bans energy drinks for kids, citing health risks. That's another one, energy drinks as well. Those things are pretty damn toxic. That wasn't mentioned by Maha here. They go on to say, alarmed by by studies linking energy drinks to heart disease and diabetes, Russian lawmakers have banned the sale of energy drinks to anyone under the age of 18. Violators face a fine of up to $6,300. All right. No Karen either. Everybody got offended. Yeah. There's too much truth on Weaponized News forum. No, I don't know. They probably have a life. Who knows? Hopefully, our regulars, Karen and Barry, will come back soon and check out Weaponized News. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in today. Okay, moving on. Woman shot at CIA headquarters after crashing the gate. So what is this all about? Just some crazy woman, a MK Ultra mind control patsy. A woman was shot and wounded at CIA headquarters after crashing into the gate early this morning. The woman has been preliminarily identified as 27-year-old Manya Sapadoro. Two senior law enforcement officials briefed on the incident told the NBC News the shooting on CIA property in Langley, Virginia, occurred hours after two Aardvark embassy staff members were shot and killed outside of DC's Capitol Aardvark Museum. And anybody going to the CIA, the front gate at headquarters is closed until further notice. Please use alternative routes for Thursday today. So if you're going to the CIA, use your secret spy route, and everything should be okay there for you. Some government corruption here that they caught somebody. I don't know how it took them 21 years, but here's the report. Take a look at this ridiculousness. This is out of Reason magazine. Authorities in Illinois have charged former Rock Island County Court Services administrative assistant Leslie Streeter with theft of government property, forgery, money laundering, and 3 counts of official misconduct. After she retired in June of last year, the county's probation and treasurer's department noticed financial irregularities in her department. Authorities claim she opened a fraudulent bank account in 2003 under Rock Island County VIP and siphoned funds, which she spent on food, entertainment, travel, and loan payments, averaging about $43,000 annually. She reportedly stole about $900,000 over 21 years. Well, how the hell? See, they're not auditing. It's good they caught it now, 21 years later, but where were you every year when there's $43,000 missing? You know what I mean? On average. Like what? Oh, 43,000, who cares? You know what I mean? So anyway, somebody in the government got in trouble for something, but they waited for her to retire. So okay, the big, beautiful bill has passed the House of Representatives today. Trump's tax cuts, allegedly. The big, beautiful bill passed the House today. Seems likely to extend tax cuts, Medicaid, and food stamps, and boost border security. We have more details there. Of course, it has to go to the Senate, and all this could change. I think it passed by one vote in the House of Representatives. The big, beautiful bill passed today, the House of Representatives. It's a sweeping policy package aligning with Trump's agenda. It likely extends the 2017 tax cuts, introduces exemptions like no taxes on tips, and raises the SALT deduction cap to $40,000 for certain incomes. It also cuts $700 billion from Medicaid and $290 billion from SNAP. with stricter work requirements and allocates $150 billion for border security, including a wall and deportation plans. The bill adds a one-time $150 billion for military spending that creates Trump accounts for children born in 2024 to 2028 with government seed money. That's like incentive for births here. It raises the debt ceiling by $4 trillion, potentially adding $2.3 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years. And that's very fiscally conservative, right? Tax policies extends, we already said, 2017 tax cuts, exempts tax on tips and overtime. And what else? Offers $10,000 auto loan interest deduction until 2019 and temporary boost the child tax credit to $2,500. Social program cuts Medicaid by $700 billion with new work requirements for adults under 65 years old. Border security, and we covered it all here. The fiscal impact, again, raises the debt ceiling to $4 trillion. And according to CBO estimates, a $2.3 trillion deficit increase over the next 10 years. But still has to go to the Senate, and I'm sure they're going to put in all of their pork barrel spending there and tweak it around and politic it. So far from complete there, but did pass the House today after pushback from conservatives. Okay, here is the follow-up, and then this should take us to the top of the hour. The real story about the white crosses that Trump has characterized as the graves of white farmers is completely false. Here is the real story with footage. Let's take a look. We showed that yesterday, and we were all outraged about the white genocide. Turns out Trump is trying to stoke racial hatred in America. This is via Freddie Pontoon, via Henningsen again.
The fields in northern KwaZulu-Natal between Newcastle and Normandein look serene. But on the last Saturday of winter, Glenn and Vida Rafferty returned home from dinner with friends to an ambush at their front door. Both were shot dead here. The murderer's identity is unknown, and their motive remains uncertain. Neighbors and private security report scant evidence of theft. A week later, the house is still. But the president's words echo through this land. There are no farm killings in South Africa, he said. On the ground, things look different. Today, 3,000 people have gathered in the Rafferty's memory to protest their murder and make a peaceful demand. We go there to talk to as many people as we can.
No, what brought us here is just because of what is happening. There was one farmer and his wife were shot last week, Glenn Rafferty. So he's a farmer.
I don't know what's up with the audio. I guess we got to read the subtitles.
Farmers. So what happened to him, although he's white, we don't look at the color.
What happened to our audio?
We look at what we are doing. We are doing the same
That's
thing.
weird.
We are all farmers. Next time it's going to be me.
We're here this morning at Newcastle where last sky.
Well, that's not going to work with no audio. I don't know what happened to the audio there. Maybe because they're all speaking something else. It was all in, but we have. Here's more audio about those crosses that we saw yesterday from Trump.
A local farmer and friend of the Raffertys, Rob Houghton, put up hundreds of crosses along the road leading to their farm almost overnight. 3,000 people climbed into 1,000 or so vehicles, tractors, buckies, sprayers, trucks, combis and cars. It took hours for the somber procession to pass the boulevard of crosses. The mood was reflective here, people stepping out to remember and to pray. At the end of it is a sign that speaks for itself.
So, I mean, I think that this particular murder really kind
I
of
guess they cut the audio and it's
set the
just
fire.
subtitles on
They
this.
were very,
I don't know
they
why
were very
did
close,
that, but,
close friends to all of us, and we're quite a tight-knit community. So that was a big shock. But that
It's
is
just
just
interviews with people
so
about
that's
it,
just
explaining
a drop in the ocean on the bigger picture and what's happening, and how many farmers are getting murdered around the whole country. But this in particular.
Not very good video there with no audio. Okay, here's got our audio back here at the end of it.
We want in this country. So we are known, our town is known as the town which has got peace. So we want to remain there.
At the end of the road is the Rafferty's Gate. A week ago, this was a threshold crossed by killers. Today, it is reclaimed as a place of mourning and commemoration. The message here couldn't be simpler. These farmers were people, and they are missed.
So that's counter to the Trump White House narrative yesterday of the white genocide of the farmers in South Africa. I don't know why, like I said, I don't know why they didn't put audio there. It would have been better, even if it was in whatever language they're speaking. Here's some good news, maybe. I think they said there's like 400 others or something in the pipeline. But Moderna pulls application for bat and flu combination shot. I don't know what we're going to do. I was sneezing earlier. Now what am I going to do? You know what I mean? But don't you worry. There's like, I don't know, like I said, hundreds of others in the pipeline. So don't you worry about that. New head of Social Security hired from Wall Street. And so Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, man. The newly sworn in head of Social Security told the agency staff this week that when he first was offered the job by the Trump administration, he wasn't familiar with the position and had to look it up on Google. And so who better to run a Ponzi scheme than a former Wall Street executive, Frank Bissignano? I need to train on pronouncing names or something. Horrible at names here. Let's hear the report from ABC News about this new hiring of a manager for the Ponzi scheme known as Social Security.
Now to concerns about the Trump administration's plans for Social Security, as the president's pick to head the Social Security Administration faced tough questions in his confirmation hearing. Our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott, is tracking the latest at the White House. Good morning, Rachel.
Robin, good morning to you. And President Trump's pick to lead the Social Security Administration was in the hot seat on Capitol Hill, and he did face some tough questions from Democrats about whether he would reject calls from Elon Musk and others in the administration to make sweeping changes to the agency that 72 million Americans rely on. So President Trump has tapped Frank Bissignano, a Wall Street executive, to lead the agency. And if confirmed, he would lead the Social Security Administration as Musk and his team at the Department of Government Efficiency look to make sweeping changes across the federal government.
There you go, Bissignano. Well, too late. They already did it. They already did it. Sorry to tell you. What But yeah, he's a great guy to lead that Ponzi scheme known as Social Security. So here's what you can do. They're doing it. This group, what the heck are they called? There's some left-wing group, but whatever. I've been doing it just out of for many years here now, just out of general principle. But what the heck's the name of the group? I had it here. Anyway, they're organizing boycotts about boycotting Walmart, Target, and McDonald's. And you should be boycotting them anyway, just on general principle. I have been for many years. Especially freaking McDonald's. It's pure garbage, man. And so let's see here. So the boycotts, they've been doing them. They got a Walmart boycott planned from May 20th to the 26th. So that's right now. They got an Amazon boycott from May 6th to May 12th. Target boycott June 3rd to the 9th. McDonald's boycott June 24th to the 30th. And Independence Day boycott July 4th. That's very American and patriotic of them, don't you think? And who is this group? It's a bunch of left-wingers. I had their name and looked them up, and there's like two groups, and it's hard to tell. There's two groups with the same name. The People's Union is what they're called, and they're calling for these boycotts. We should be boycotting them every day, not the 4th of July, but all these corporate multinational corporations. They're effing you over every which way but Sunday. And so, yeah, you should be just boycotting them in general, shop local, and but especially McDonald's. I mean, it's ridiculous that people are still even eating at McDonald's, but they love to eat yoga mats, right? That's been in their, whereas famously in Subway's bread, they put that same ingredient they use in making yoga mats to preserve the bread, right? And help with the rising of it when they bake it. And then remember the pink slime in McDonald's meat, alleged meat, and other reports of human meat found there, horse meat. And so you should just be boycotting them on general principle. But anyway, that group, and there's two groups out there, which made it confusing for me looking them up. The People's Union, and there's like, maybe there's one, I don't know, there's two websites. Anyway, the People's Union are organizing these boycotts. And before we go to the live commercial break, here's horrific scenes of a small plane crash in San Diego that crashed into a neighborhood amid heavy fog. Take a look at this wreckage here. Quite horrific and tragic.
You can just see the utter devastation around. I mean, cars are demolished. Like I said, this car here was on fire. The roof here has got a big gaping hole in it here. There's a car also it was on fire at one point too. At the moment right now, I don't see anybody in any homes. They've been evacuated. Obviously, driving up here on air, I saw a lot of people with their animals and pets coming from at least blocks and blocks away. So, no, I would say there's probably nobody in here, and if they are, they're not being allowed in. I'm one of the lucky ones that can actually get in here to bring you these pictures.
It's just really shocking to see. I mean, look at this house that burned right there. And the way the assistant fire chief described it, it hit a house and then continued through in between these streets, Sample and Scopen, right there in the middle of the block. And you can see that right there. It's hard to tell and where the plane itself is, but obviously a lot of plane debris strewn around. And because of the fire, when that
tragic, horrific accident there in San Diego, California, as you can see by the footage. Okay, everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Help us out. Get some stickers over there. We got the holograph sticker. It's Pride Day every day at Weaponized News. We don't just pander in June. Right there. See the holograph with all the rainbow colors. Get it? And then we have the white background along with the holograph. And then we also have the clear background sticker. Put it on your laptop, your guitar, your bumper, your work locker. We had a viewer say that they're going to put it on their work locker, and we do appreciate that. So spread the word about Weaponized News. Get yourself a nice looking Weaponized News sticker, a camera gun. You control people that hate your right to self-defense with this. Trigger them with it and say, no, what are you paranoid? That's a camera. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But know that everything is weaponized against you. So go to weaponizednews.com and you can pick those stickers up and support independent reporting and analysis that we bring here at Weaponized News. Now let's go ahead and go to our sponsor, and then we'll be back. What are we following up the commercial with? Oh, then we're going to get into geopolitical news, and we'll move on to this crazy well, we'll get into the history of aardvark false flags on themselves here now, as we feign outrage, and anybody that says Free Palestine is a neo-Nazi make no damn sense. They're all a bunch of left-wingers. Excuse me. If I would have taken my miracle, it'd be okay. Here's a word from our sponsor, Abazaba Enterprises, and we'll be right back.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abazaba Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks, Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abazaba Enterprises today at 559-577-9250.
Oh, thank you for blessing me there, Chloe. Okay, we're back. I think this is playing into the larger transfer of Western New World Order, One World Government control, which we're under now, into the New World Order, which is shifting to the east. China, Russia, the Greater Eurasian Partnership, as Simon bangs on about, and the like here. UK plan to transfer Kangos Island goes ahead despite last-minute legal injunction. And so the UK is going to go ahead and transfer this military base back to allies of China. It's going back to under African control here now. Reining in the empire. Here it is. Strategic military base there. Let me show you on the map. You can see right here. They're going to go ahead and give it back. I think this is one little part of the bigger scheme to transfer the power to the east, to China and Russia and the like, and all of their allies. That's what it looks like to me. With the Fabian socialists there, Stallmer leading the way. That a G7 finance ministers meeting where they threatened to ramp up sanctions on Russia, and reportedly the United States opposed the sanctions or even the rhetoric because like little Marco was trying to tell these idiots, we're trying to negotiate right now a peace deal, and sanctioning them and calling them the most evil war criminals in the world isn't really that's not really fit for negotiations. Here's these the bankers, right? Our lords and saviors here. G7 finance minister and central banker governors meeting. What a bunch of freaking monsters these guys are. There you go. There's our guy, Powell, right? And the rest of the central bank cartel. Isn't that lovely in Canada? We missed Barry. Maybe he was protesting that meeting. Okay. Looks like positive steps to me toward a peace deal. They're trying to, Russia is creating a buffer zone along parts of the Ukrainian border, according to Putin. Women and children are being targeted and killed, so a buffer zone along Kursk and Bryansk regions will be set up. Let's hear from the most evil man in the world, Putin, here about it.
The enemy attacks any targets, whether civilian or military, including residential areas, and the developments we've seen today reaffirm what I've just said. In fact, they are attacking civilian transportation, including agricultural equipment and even ambulances. Children and women are being targeted and killed. So we need to create a special buffer zone along the border that would ensure security, and our forces are currently actively engaged in that. The enemy attacks any targets, whether civilian or military, including residential areas, and the developments we've seen today reaffirm what I've just said. In fact, there.
So it looks like they're making moves there to wind down the war in Ukraine. Hopefully. Okay, this day in our civil liberties history, as I'm trying to find a story every day. I don't support the Nazis. Weaponized News doesn't support Nazis. We don't support neo-Nazis. All right. Hitler bad, 100%. Nazis bad, 100%. They got damn skull and crossbones. They got the death head on their little freaking SS black leather hats, man. And they're in the cult and all this weird stuff, and they killed a hell of a lot of people. All right. They're not good because there's this narrative that somehow we just don't understand Hitler or something. It's just. People wrap your mind around. I know our audience is, but anybody else listening that's not a regular listener, they're all bad, man. They're all bad. Killing people's bad and wrong. Anyway, this is a segue to the coming stories. On this day in history, in 1978 of May 22nd, the 7th Circuit Court affirms Nazi free speech rights in Skokie, Illinois. The 7th Circuit Court of Appeals in Collin versus Smith on this day affirmed the First Amendment rights of a small group of American neo-Nazis to hold a demonstration in a predominantly Jewish town of Skokie, Illinois, declaring ordinances that the town had enacted to prevent them from demonstrating unconstitutional. Maybe all this new hype about anti-Semitism, maybe they could take a hint from this 1978 ruling about free speech. A small group of American neo-Nazis led by Frank Collin had applied for a permit for a demonstration in Skokie, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, on October 4th, 1976. An estimated 40,500 of Skokie's 70,000 residents are aardvarks, or were aardvarks at the time. The request touched off a national controversy about the scope of the First Amendment and hate speech. Hate speech is BS, man. The village of Skokie attempted to prevent the demonstration with a series of restrictive ordinances, and the Illinois ACLU agreed to defend the free speech of the neo-Nazis. The ordinances required permit seekers to secure a $300,000 in liability insurance and $50,000 in property damage insurance, prohibited the dissemination of literature designed to incite racial or religious hatred, and prohibited demonstrations by groups wearing military-style uniforms. Although the Nazi group won in court, the group chose not to demonstrate in Skokie and instead staged a demonstration in Chicago on July 9th, 1978. The Supreme Court denied to hear an appeal of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals decision, leaving it stand. So there you go. That's a win for the First Amendment. You could disagree, which I do, with the neo-Nazis, but it's their right to protest and distribute their hateful, quote, hateful literature. Okay, that's a segue to this. Our shadow president, the greatest man in world history, Bibi Netanyahu. And he says that, well, let's take a listen to him.
Last night in Washington, something horrific happened. A brutal terrorist shot in cold blood a young, beautiful couple, Yaron Lishinsky and Sarah Milgram. Yaron had just bought an engagement ring for Sarah. He was planning to give it to her in Jerusalem next week. They were planning to start a new and happy life together. Well, that tragically did not happen. Yaron and Sarah weren't the victims of a random crime. The terrorist who cruelly gunned them down did so for one reason and one reason alone. He wanted to kill Jews. And as he was taken away, he chanted, "Free Palestine." This is exactly the same chant we heard on October 7th. On that day, thousands of terrorists stormed into Israel from Gaza. They beheaded men, they raped women, they burned babies alive, they butchered 1,200 innocent people.
That's all been debunked. It doesn't matter.
And took 251 innocent people hostage to the dungeons of Gaza. A short time afterwards, Chancellor Scholz of Germany visited Israel. And after he saw the horrors, he said to me, "These Hamas terrorists are exactly like the Nazis." He was right. And if they could get away with it, these Hamas terrorists would have slaughtered every last Jew on earth. For these neo-Nazis, Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler. They don't want a Palestinian state. They want to destroy the Jewish state. They want to annihilate the Jewish people who've been in the land of Israel for 3,500 years. I could never understand how this simple truth evades the leaders of France, Britain, Canada, and others. They're now proposing to establish a Palestinian state and reward these murderers with the ultimate prize. Well, for 18 years, we had a de facto Palestinian state. It's called Gaza. And what did we get? Peace? No. We got the most savage slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust.
This guy's a straight up war criminal, man. Here's more from him. I know you got it. Here you go. They're not neo-Nazis. It's not the same thing. It's a false equivalency here. He's using logical fallacies in his rhetoric.
For these neo-Nazis, Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler. They don't want a Palestinian state. They want to destroy the Jewish state. They want to annihilate the Jewish people who've been in the land of Israel for 3,500 years. I could never understand how this simple truth evades the leaders of France, Britain, Canada, and others.
He's all worked up because he got called out by by those European countries and Canada. Okay, so of course, Aardvarks always the victim, never the wrongdoer. But here's a flashback of about 6 months ago on 60 Minutes, where they interviewed an alleged Mossad agent, where he says, "We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage." Let's watch this short clip.
How did you convince Hezbollah to buy this?
Well, obviously, they didn't know that they were buying it from Israel.
Who did they buy it from, or think they were buying it from?
We have an incredible array of possibilities of creating foreign companies that have no way being traced back to Israel, shell companies over shell companies who affect the supply chain to our favor. We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
I didn't get footage of it, but yeah, remember the USS Liberty as well. Remember all of that, where Aardvarks attacked the USS Liberty and tried to frame up Egypt so we would go to a war with Egypt. Remember all that? Here's, I think we played this clip before, but we're going to play it again. Former British MI5 agent Annie McCann explains how Mossad bombed the Aardvark embassy in London in 1994 and then framed 2 prominent Palestinian activists. And they both received 20-year prison sentences for a crime they didn't commit because they were staged up by the, framed up by the Aardvarks.
But the 2 cases that really got us, first of all, there was a false flag attack in London in 1994, where a car bomb exploded outside the Israeli embassy in the centre of London.
Now, I remember this vaguely. This is, we're talking 14 years ago.
It's a long time
but
ago.
But it was huge at the time. I mean, it was a huge worldwide story.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, there'd been an earlier attack against some Jewish interest section in Buenos Aires earlier that year as well. Similar sort of MO, modus operandi, with a car bomb driven and parked outside that exploded. Very minor injuries, that was all. Okay. Nobody was killed. And it was a very sophisticated device. It appeared to eat itself, eat all the forensics. Now, this is very, very rare. Even the IRA, which is a very sophisticated terrorist organisation, could not make bombs that effective. So it looked like a, sort of fairly technical person had put that together. But what emerged from that, the senior MI5 officer who was in charge of the investigation into it and had seen all the evidence but also all the intelligence, which isn't necessarily admissible in court, wrote his formal assessment at the end of the case. And he said he reckoned that Mossad, the Israeli External Intelligence Agency, had bombed their own embassy. A sort of controlled explosion outside the embassy. And as I said, that was a senior MI5 officer. That was his formal verdict. If you read that on the internet now, you would say that sounds like some mad conspiracy theory. But it wasn't. This was the official position of MI5. And he said that they did it for 2 reasons. One, they were always hassling MI5 for increased security around their embassy and other interests in London. Because, of course, London had a reputation of giving safe haven to Arab dissidents from around the world at that point. And MI5 kept saying, well, there's no reason to increase the threat assessment. You don't need extra protection. So letting off a controlled explosion outside, of course, they immediately got what they wanted there. But crucially, 2 innocent Palestinians were arrested, charged and convicted of conspiracy to cause that attack. And they were very active in a Palestinian support network in London, political campaigning for the people on the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. And they were gaining some traction in the media. They were getting quite a lot of support. So by arresting these people and framing them for an attack and sticking them in prison, the whole network just shattered and hasn't got back on its feet to this.
Just saying. Just saying. Looks like a similar script. Oh, and let's remember the King David Hotel attack there. Let's take a look at this clip from BBC back in 1946. But Aardvark's always the victim.
After a bomb explosion caused by terrorists on the British headquarters at Jerusalem, one entire corner of the King David Hotel, a building of 7 stories, was razed to the ground.
Suddenly, everything was black. What happened? I couldn't understand. You only think, how do you get out?
While Arab and Jew have a cause to battle for, the British soldier is there only because it is his job to keep the peace. In a quarrel which is none of his making, he does just that, and precious few thanks he gets for it.
My family was a Jewish family from Germany, came to Palestine because we were in danger in Germany. I was 21 years old when I worked for the British in the King David Hotel. Shorthand typing, and it wasn't a happy time. It was always tense because they didn't know how to stop all these attacks. Always troops on the street, British police or soldiers. We worked for them. We had to have a salary. There wasn't so much work. There was a warning. Telephone call that bombs were laid in the cellar of the King David Hotel, that the people should all, workers should all go out immediately. I was just getting up from my place and suddenly I heard an explosion and black. I don't see anything. After some time, I've heard somebody was coughing. I said, oh, there's another one living.
Men of the army and the police were working with cranes, bulldozers, drills and shovels to reach the unfortunate victims still buried in the wreckage.
I knew there would be many, many, many dead victims. Terrible, terrible. I started to cry.
The latest casualty list included 65 killed, 47 injured, and 58 missing.
My boss, he was a very nice man, and he was killed in the attack. Of course, I was angry. Who did it? I didn't know till they told me it was the Etzel. The Etzel was one of the Jewish groups who were against the British. They wanted the British to go out, but that wasn't the right way to do it. No, I can't agree. I worked for the British till they left.
So we can see there's a long history here. Of course, they would never do anything like terrorism to move for their own political means. I think that is the definition of terrorism. But of course, they don't do it. Don't be a neo-Nazi. Don't be a Nazi. 2 staff members of Aardvark Embassy killed in shooting near Aardvark Museum in D.C. That's it is tragic, and violence is not going to help us. But as you can see, they will sacrifice their own. Denver mentioned the Hannibal Doctrine, of course. That was even before the Hannibal Doctrine. So don't think they won't sacrifice their own for a political agenda here now. And so I don't have 100% proof, but I'm highly skeptical of this whole event. Latest on the deadly shooting. Aardvark diplomats, i.e. intelligence agents, were killed there. And turns out one of them was, I did it for Gaza, who is Elias Rodriguez, far-left activist who murdered 2 aardvarks? I don't know. There he is right there. This guy, allegedly. I don't know. Is it organic? Is this guy under some kind of mind control? Is it all staged? He's the patsy. I don't know. But we have to consider all these things, and we can never take the official story at face value. And so we have a right to ask these questions with their history. And I just laid out a little bit of it right there for you. And it goes on and on and on and on, right? And so he was allegedly a member of the U.S. Socialist Party. The U.S. Socialist Party put out this post rejecting his violence. He says, they say, we reject any attempt to associate the People's Socialist Liberation with the D.C. shooting. Elias Rodriguez is not a member of the People's Socialist Liberation. He had a brief association with one branch of the PSL that ended in 2017. We know of no contact with him for over 7 years. We have nothing to do with it, with the shooting, and do not support it. Well, I believe that's a correct position here to take publicly. But it turns out he was the guy there was a former IDF soldier, intelligence officer. And it turns out he wasn't even Aardvark. He was Christian. And so he was a Christian Zionist. This fellow right here, Yoran Lishansky. Here he is. The man. And then, of course, the woman was Aardvark. He was a Christian who served in the IDF and dedicated his life to Aardvark land and Zionism. Isn't that wonderful? Sad, brainwashed soul there. Here's the manifesto released by the alleged shooter, Elias Rodriguez. Shall we read it? I think we shall. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. He goes through here talking about the 53,000 killed by traumatic force. It's way more than that, but that's the official numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry. He goes on to say, protesting the war, talking about Yemen, Saudi, UK, US bombardment of Yemen, causing over 500,000 dead. He says that's an underestimate. I agree with that. Or whoever wrote this manifesto, a quote manifesto. Yeah, they boast about it. I don't know how this is going to help the cause, though. Honestly. And then here's the DOJ's response. Pam Bondi, she jumped right on it, of course. And we're going to get more legislation come down to restrict our freedom. They should go back to that 1978 case and take a look about the neo-Nazis' free speech rights. Here's Barbie Bondi, jumped right on this one.
Everyone in Washington, D.C., state, local, and federal agencies, and our great U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro, who will be prosecuting this case, will be doing everything in our power to keep all citizens safe, especially tonight our Jewish community. We will follow the facts, we will follow the law, and this defendant, if charged, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Everyone in Washington, D.C., state, local, and federal agencies, and our great U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro, who will be prosecuting this case, will be doing everything in our power to keep all citizens safe.
they're going to get increased security for their spies over here in America. Better believe it. Microsoft bans words Palestine, Gaza, genocide in internal emails, according to an anonymous worker there. Censorship follows Microsoft's firing of employees who protested its ties to Aardvark land. While Microsoft claims it's curbing political emails, staff says it's silencing free speech. There's a protest there on Microsoft. Microsoft is a war profiteer, amongst other crimes. Let's hear from the Pope now. Pope Leo. Love does not calculate. He opens with a humanitarian appeal over the situation in Gaza. The new Pope here.
Sisters, I am happy to be with you in this, the first general audience of my pontificate. Today we have taken up the series of catecheses on the Jubilee theme of Christ our hope, begun by Pope Francis, reflecting on Jesus' parable of the sower and the seed. What can strike us is the generosity, even recklessness, with which the sower casts the seed on all kinds of soil, even the rocky terrain that seems most unpromising. Jesus explains that the seed is God's word, which is meant to take root in the hearts of all, none excluded. We who hear this parable and apply it to our own lives may well feel challenged to become a better and more receptive terrain for the working of His grace. Yet the parable of the sower can also make us think about Jesus Himself, who in His death and resurrection became the seed that fell to the ground and died in order to bear rich fruit. The image of the sower, we can think of the famous painting by Van Gogh, is thus one of hope in the promise of a coming harvest. Today and every day, let us ask the Lord to open our hearts to His saving word and its power to transform and enrich our lives and enrich the world in which we live. I'm happy to welcome the English-speaking pilgrims and visitors, especially those from England, Ireland, Hungary, Norway, Nigeria, Senegal, Tanzania, Australia, New Zealand, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Mongolia, the Philippines, South Korea, Vietnam, Canada, and the United States. I greet, in particular, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Odysee, the Palatine Missionary Sisters of the Catholic Apostolate, the Daughters of St. Jerome Emiliani, the Couples for Christ group, the pilgrims from the Diocese of Kerry, and an international group of young volunteers from the St. Cassian's Center. With prayerful good wishes that the present Jubilee of Hope may be for you and your families a time of grace and spiritual renewal, I invoke upon you all the joy and peace of the Lord Jesus.
course, there's some Americans there with the flag, but yeah, let's not forget there are Christians, and it was there like 1.4 billion Catholics in this world. They're freaking everywhere, and there's a bunch of Christians. They're all dirty Muslim Hamas terrorists there in Gaza. There's some Christians there too, and the Christian Zionists seem to love them being genocided. Okay, so a little bit of food finally got through after what, like 2 months or something, over 2 months of the siege, the blockade, blocking all food, water, medicine, and energy into Gaza. A handful of bakeries in Gaza are baking bread again after receiving limited supplies overnight. Let's watch this short clip from the UN World Food Program, talking about delivering the food. It's nowhere near as much as they need, but it's something. And then we'll go to settlers blocking aid deliveries there.
We are here at Karim Abu Salam. After 2.5 months of borders closed, finally we are loading, the first shipment of humanitarian aid that arrived in Gaza. These are all the trucks with wheat flour and some nutritious products for UNICEF, and we are loading also medicine for ICRC.
That looks nutritious, right? Ah, man. Oh, Karen is here. Shout out to you, Karen, on the Rumble chat. We missed you. Yeah, and we still don't know what happened to Barry. Okay, here are the infamous Aardvark settler group is attempting to block humanitarian aid going into Gaza, denounces aid delivery, most of which contains flour, because it strengthens Hamas, they claim.
שלום עם ישראל, אני נוגה אלפסה, סגנית של מאיה גורן, שותפה מקיבוץ ניר עוז. אנחנו כאן חושבים את מסעיות הסיוע לחמאס, מסעיות שבאות לחזק מחבלים אל מול החיילים שלנו, חיילים שנהרגים כל יום. אם אתם רוצים לעזור לחיילים שלנו, אם אתם רוצים לקדם עסקת חטופים, בואו עכשיו, אנחנו צריכים פה אנשים, זה כאן באשדוד, קרוב לבית, בואו עכשיו.
So they had to let the aid in, what little it is, because as we continue to report, a bunch of the world is turning on them. UK, Canada, France, and they know it's looking bad, man. They can't stomach images of people starving to death, all shriveled up and like that. I don't know. They can stand the images of. They really can't stand the images of all the injuries of the amputations on children. It's quite horrific. It's all over the interwebs. I don't show it much here because because it is so horrific. But it's all out there. It's all out there for everybody to see. But don't you worry. They were still bombing Lebanon. They're bombing southern Lebanon today, continually. And they're like, they're still bombing them, but there's a ceasefire. How's there a ceasefire? They're bombing them, man. There's no ceasefire. And so Aardvark settlers launched coordinated attacks all across Palestine, or Gaza, the West Bank, actually. Excuse me. There's a bunch of videos of it. I'm not even going to show it. They're blowing up their cars, marching people out in the street. At gunpoint, bombing buildings. It's quite horrific. Yeah, I will try to give him a call. I emailed him a couple times. But I will give him a call, Karen, tonight. After the show, as a matter of fact. Medical warehouse there in Al Awanda Hospital was blown up by aardvark attacks. There's video, not much to show, like a hole in the ground and some little bit of fire. So, according to the UN, aardvarks have taken over 81% of Gaza now is controlled by the IDF. Here's let's take a look at the map. So they control all of these colored regions here. They're whittling away. As we're watching the genocide ethnic cleansing program. And then this maniac, Randy Fine. So if you put this in context, he's saying nuke aardvarks. So maybe he's the real anti-Semite in this whole narrative, because they control 91% of Gaza here now. Let's hear, we heard maniac Ted Lieu yesterday basically saying, why aren't we going to war with Russia? They're in the hearings with little Marco. And then this maniac, Randy Fine, congressman out of Florida, talking about, yeah, let's just nuke the place. These people are not fit for public office. That's for damn sure.
The fact of the matter is the Palestinian cause is an evil one.
Yeah, and Congressman, there is a ceasefire deal on the table right now that the White House is hoping both Israel and Hamas will sign on to. Does this shooting change anything when it comes to the course of the war or the negotiations to end it?
Well, I think it speaks to the importance of the only end of the conflict is complete and total surrender by those who support Muslim terror. In World War II, we did not negotiate a surrender with the Nazis. We did not negotiate a surrender with the Japanese. We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong with this culture, and it needs to be defeated.
Randy finds a homicidal maniac. He's literally saying nuke the IDF, which controls 81% of Gaza or Palestine. Yeah, they're cloud of smoke. I could show you the video. It's just like, yeah, another bomb. You know what I mean? They're bombing southern Lebanon despite a quote ceasefire. I saw this clip. Let's watch this clip. Tim Pool says criticizing aardvarks is a threat to national security, warning that it may jeopardize U.S. aid to aardvark land and interfere with America's interest in the Suez Canal, which is owned by Egypt. Let's watch this short clip. It seems Tim Pool is sold out here. Probably a long time ago, I would say.
Yeah, and then she's being like forcibly deported. Do you think that's good for America? Like, this is okay. So you know,
marginally.
You think what do you think is good, even marginally? Like, what's the minor small benefit to America?
Do not come to our country and rally against it and its interests. I apply this too to any of these.
So what is the U.S. interest that her writing an op-ed?
Suez Canal.
The Suez Canal?
Right. The United States, the reason why the U.S. is so... I love these Jews people that are like, Israel controls the foreign policy. Oh, shut up. The U.S. interest with Israel, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia has a lot to do with like the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. This is why Donald Trump is obsessed with Panama and Greenland. He wants to control the global trade routes. This is what America's largely done. That's why I say it's a gross mischaracterization to claim that an op-ed is a threat to national security, in that it is, in the smallest of senses. Students coming here and telling us to oppose our support with Israel puts us at risk in terms of the sentiment of a younger generation as to whether or not we'll fund Israel and control the Suez Canal.
But I asked you if you thought it was good.
Egypt owns the Suez Canal. Okay, enough about the absurdity there. And I don't know, obviously, but I'm just saying Aardvark land has a long history of playing the victim, of staging false flag attacks for political means, to increase security, to crack down. And I would expect that they're going to pass some legislation over this assassination of these two Aardvark intelligence agents, and further crack down here in America on our freedom of speech. And that ain't right. And it ain't right to kill the people either. But what's definitely not right is their damn genocide and ethnic cleansing program going on there in Gaza and Lebanon, the wider region there for the Greater Aardvark Land Project. As we continue to report, you can see right here, they're taking all of this, Syria too, right? Syria, they'll probably even take some of Iraq. They'll probably take some of Jordan. They're not taking, maybe they'll try to take Egypt and Saudi Arabia, who knows? But this whole region right here, right? They're trying to take not just the Suez Canal. Anyway, and they're up in arms because they're finally getting some major pushback. And it's ridiculous at this point. All right. We're almost at the end of the show here. And by the way, we do have that 30-minute in-depth interview at the end of this show about Lab 257 Plum Island from almost 20 years ago here now, talking about how the U.S. government engineered ticks with Lyme disease. But first, that's our Technocracy Scientific Dictatorship news. The world's largest cybersecurity event, Positive Hack Fest, was held in Russia. 40 other countries attended it. Let's watch this clip about it.
Our clients, they came to Russia, they came to Positive Hack Days for this event. By the way, it's the largest event in cybersecurity in the world. And here we have our partners, our clients from BRICS countries, from our partners from other countries, so with whom we work, and around 40 countries. So, and people from these countries, so we can we can meet each other, so we can personally talk about how to develop the cybersecurity industry in their countries, and how to bring the educational industry, educational expertise, and our hands-on expertise that we as a Positive Technology have to other countries, especially to BRICS countries. And all our delegates that came to Russia, came to Positive Hack Days from 40 countries, from countries with whom we work, they confirmed that we as a Russia, we are the best in cybersecurity. We are the best in securing companies, organizations, and government systems. So
having that big hacker fest in Russia, inviting the BRICS countries. Here's a scene from Terminator 2 as we go into this technocracy.
Need any help?
No.
I got you! No, you didn't! Not you! You didn't! I got you! I came around here! Not you! No, you didn't! I told you I'm close! Not you! We're not gonna make it, are we? People, I mean.
It's in your nature to destroy yourselves.
Yeah. Major drag, huh?
Break it up for a ring, both you next. Come on.
I need to know how Skynet gets built.
Who's responsible?
The man most directly responsible is Miles Bennett Dyson.
Who is that?
Well, it's actually Musk, Peter Thiel in reality here, and the like, as we covered yesterday with that documentary. And that's a segue to Google launches its new AI videos. Let's take a look here. DeepMind.Google. Take a look at this. We played that clip of AI generated video that looks like real life. You wouldn't know unless somebody told you. All this is AI generated by Google video. State of the art VO3. That's a still, or you could see that was part of that clip we played yesterday. That's not a real guy. That's AI generated. Looks damn real, you know?
Where were you on the night of the bubble bath?
They're watching the north exit. Use the service tunnel.
The microfilm is in your ticket.
They're watching...
I'm one with nature now.
Nature would prefer some personal space.
All this is not real. It's AI. It looks real, man. I gotta say, it looks real. Some of these, obviously the cartoon images are not real, but look at this. Looks like that could be a real video. And so you could sign up for their AI here and make your own videos. The look at this, the zoom outs, zoom ins, zoom right, zoom up, zoom left, right? You could see it's all AI. There's no camera filming these guys in astronaut uniforms. That's all AI. It's getting pretty advanced here. And this is what they're releasing to the public. So imagine what they have privately. It's quite striking indeed. Oh, look, there's Mars, right? Let's say, oh, yeah, we put people on Mars. These look like real people to me. I don't know. Of course, the animation's animation, but the realistic stuff is crazy. And so, yeah, you can, what is it? I think it's like
One with nature.
It's like $150 or something for 3 months, $149.95 or something. So that's the new Google AI video that they just released. Striking indeed. Then we have this guy. I've been covering him since I saw him posting. From Figure Robotics. The CEO, Brett Adcock. Take a look at this. I don't know how car manufacturing, you think you're going to have a job there working in the factory. He says on Friday, Figure completed a 20-hour run of back-to-back shifts on the BMW X3 production line. We've been running 10-hour shifts for several weeks now. And as far as we know, Figure and BMW are the first in the world to do this with humanoid robots. Take a look at this. There's no audio on this, but there's the robots on the BMW manufacturing line at the BMW factory. There you go. They're already doing it. They're already replacing humans with AI-driven humanoid robots. So that was a nice, happy ending. But yet, wait, there's more. Who needs a job? There you go, Karen. Oh, sorry. I build houses, Sam. I am still good. I don't know, man. I don't know. If it's not illegals taking your job, it'll be a robot soon here. I don't know how good they are at swinging a hammer, but I don't know about houses. That seems it seems like they can be programmed to do repetitive tasks, right? So this one's like load up the parts to the next machine that's going to assemble them. So it feels like repetitive tasks. They're already replacing humans right now. And Musk is promising that that Optimus humanoid robot will learn by watching humans. So maybe, I don't know. But they hype this stuff a lot too. We got to keep that in mind. They hype it. They're trying to sell their product. How much of it is hype? How much of it is real? I don't know. But it's coming. I mean, it's coming. They're developing it very quickly here now. Yeah, we're all going to get universal basic income there, it says. Soylent Green's people, too. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Soylent Green is people. All right, with that, we're going to wrap up the show at about 2 hours, but we still have that 30-minute report about Plum Island. Very telling. Let me go to the channels over there on the Odysee. See who's there, Huffman and John. Thank you guys for tuning in and chatting up a little bit there. Yeah, they say, don't worry, mRNA will fix autism. Yeah, I know. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee channel. The Bitchute, they fixed it for like a week. Now it's back to glitchy. I don't know. We can't be too hard on Bitchute. They're trying for a small outfit. There are a few people watching. Thank you for tuning in on the Bitchute. We appreciate it. The Rumble chat lively as always. Thank you everybody for tuning in on the Rumble, keeping that chat lively. The YouTube, thank you for tuning in on the YouTube. The cars suck. I agree. The new cars do suck, man. The new cars do suck. All the bells and whistles, just more stuff to break as far as I'm concerned. And you can they want to make it you can't even work on your own car, for God's sake. You know what I mean? You have to pay thousands of dollars to do some basic repairs. It's just ridiculous. And take humans out of the equation one more time. Thank you everybody for tuning in on the Rumble, the YouTube again, the Facebook. We're gonna have to sign off on the YouTube because we're gonna play this documentary, which is on YouTube, but they'll say, oh, you use third-party content, and somehow that's a violation. So signing off of YouTube here now. Jump over to Rumble to watch this great report